Hi everyone, I'm Vone Kevitz, knit and crochet designer for One of a Kind Makers who dare to be original. Man, my hair is wild today. Oh, you guys. I'm gonna give you a couple seconds to find me. Hopefully some of you will join. I haven't seen you guys in a while, so I'm starting to really miss y'all. And then, of course, this morning, as I did not want to get out of bed, I was like, oh, maybe I'll just cancel. Do you find yourselves doing that so much more? Is constantly canceling on yourself, canceling, not showing up, not keeping your promises? I'm doing that so much. It's really getting to be a struggle. And I realize it, but it's because I'm trying so hard not to that I'm so aware, hyper aware of how much I do so. How much I break promises to myself all the time. And so it's a struggle, but I'm here. So we get on it again. On it again. So there's so much to talk about, so much going on. If you're on, say hi. Let me know what you're doing. Let me know what you're up to. I am working on a face mask pattern using Tina's yarn, a Wendon yarn and fiber. So it's for a part of her mini skein collections, and these masks are going to be bright and like spring colors. So I'm really excited about it, and because they're mini skeins, there's three. I'm using 3 color combinations, which basically means this is what I'm dealing with. But I will get it in order by the time I work on it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. I put it down for a week now because I'm in the middle of was that a double or half double? Oh, it was a half double. Okay. I'm in the middle of testing a pattern for Sultana's crochet, and so I'm testing her pattern right now. So I'm in between that pattern and trying to do a little bit of this just to get it started to see what I'm going to do, because I'm going to end up at a fabric store later on today. So I want to get a little bit further on this. And I was wondering what you guys use for your face mask lining. So I have really sensitive skin, so I'm really struggling. You know that I'm not quarantining myself, but I still go to work every day. My life has not changed since this whole thing has happened. So I'm still at work every day. The only thing that has changed is now I have to wear a mask at work all day long, and it is taking a toll on my skin, meaning I either am allergic to the fabrics that I'm like covering my face with all the time, or it's just maybe the breathing into the fabric all day long, that I'm not getting like fresh, like giving my skin like time to breathe. So I'm not sure what's what, but I have several different kinds of face masks, and the one that seems to be the least caustic to my skin is like a cotton lining one. So I think that's what I'm going to look for when I head over to the fabric store, which is still open in my area. And so I'm between changing 3. Did I? Oh, so while I'm going up, I'm going to move that over. I figure while I'm here, I might as well, you could see how I'm changing colors, but I thought that I would come on here and see how y'all are doing. But I also know that we've gotten out of sync too. So let me tell you, years ago when I discovered Zoom, that's how I did my creative interviews. I felt like I was the only one. Every time I said, do you have Zoom? And everybody I would ask that I was doing my interview with, they would be like, no, we never heard of it. I said, it's such an awesome thing. And then now everybody is Zooming all the time. It's just so weird to me. Right, so I stepped away. This is the thing, when you step away from a new technique, you know, you have to like rewire your brain again. So that's that. Okay, I bring that up. That's the complete route. And then I'm picking up with the yellow. And I'm going to cross that over so I can end up carrying that. And now I'm in with the yellow. Coming back. Yeah, so speaking of brain, I am reading Limitless. I just got Limitless this week by Jim Quick. It just came out this week. It's already on the New York Times list. He's the brain expert. And so he's an expert in teaching people how to overcome learning disabilities and speed reading, and basically all things about your brain, growing your brain. And Limitless is a new book. It's basically the book that rules all books, meaning not like the Bible. That's the book that rules all life. The book that rules learning. It teaches you how to learn. And so I put off the other books that I was starting, which was The Obstacles Away. And I'm reading that right now, and I absolutely love this book, Limitless. The cool thing about when I got the pre-order, I was able to get the 10-day class that came with it, and I've already learned so much just on that 10-day course that came with that book. And this is the first time I got it on Kindle, and I hesitated to get it digitally, but I'm actually really happy with it. The reason why I went with Kindle is it was cheaper at the time, and I got it quickly, and I wanted the 10-day program more than anything. So so now that I have the book and I'm reading it with my phone, it's proving not to be too bad after all. You know, I'm actually enjoying it. I have the light setting to the way I want it, and I'm using like the height of the phone to be my marker. So as I just scroll up and use that as the marker. And that was one of the tips that he said, to mark, to indicate where you're at so that you stay focused on what you're reading. And it seems to be really working. I'm hoping by the time I'm done and I use the principles inside that book that I can read a book a week. That is my goal, is to get through a book a week. And which he has had students use that program, read a book a day. But to me, that seems, first of all, I have to work, so I don't have a whole day to do anything. So I think a book a week is reasonable. But, oh, Bonnie, so glad you're joining. How are you, lady? So do you see what I'm working on? I am, last Saturday, I got yarn from Tina. Her shop is Awened Yarn and Fiber, and this is a part of her mini skein collection. So I'm working on a crochet face mask pattern because I wanted to put a little fingerprint in the crochet world during this face mask era. And this is a great way to learn how to use color changing. So this is my very first version, and then by the time I get through this and go through the tutorial, I will have squared away what the heck it is I'm doing and finding the easiest way to help do the tutorial for when I do this one. So, and then I'm going to the fabric store later on to do to go get lining for a face mask. How are you doing wearing your face mask? I've been struggling because, you know, I have to wear it all day long at work, and it's really, really tough on my skin. I don't know if it's breathing into it or the fact that I'm allergic to certain fabric linings. The one I'm doing well with is cotton. So I'm going to see if they have organic cotton at the fabric store, because I think the organic cotton is like the softer one. And basically that's all I'm looking for, is something soft that I can breathe. And it's going to need to be light because we're approaching warmer weather, even though it is still snowing in Pennsylvania, which is crazy. Been knitting this morning. Oh, that's cool. So I have 2 crochet projects going on right now. I'm testing a pattern for Sultana, who I have a meeting at 10 o'clock with today. I'm testing a pattern for her, and that's crochet. And I'm doing this, which is crochet. Usually when I'm working on multiple projects, I have one knit and I have one crochet, but right now I got 2 crochets projects going on right now. So that's where I'm at. So while I'm here doing this part, I am deciding on the strap and what's the best way to do the strap. I knit a mask. It was a fail. I knit a mask and it was a failure. Oh, what was it, like a square? Did you or a rectangle and then lined it? How did you knit the mask? First of all, that seems to me like that will be my next pattern. So I have 3 packets like that. This pattern will be made into 3s. So I think what I'm going to do is do 2 crochets, and then I'm going to do 2 knits. So I'll have 2 face mask patterns releasing around the same time, which is a crochet version and a knit version. So I'm kind of excited about that. So that means changing color in knit also. So we'll see how that works out. It's going to be the same principle. And then where the assembling is just hand sewing the simple face line. And then the trick of the cord is I'm debating on introducing the I cord, which I'm not a big fan of, because the way I look at it is I cords in knitting I can do faster with chains in crochet. So to me, it doesn't make sense to, you know what I mean, to spend the time with I cording. So I think even in my knit pattern for the face mask to do the knit, I think I'm still going to do do a tutorial and show how to crochet. You know me, I love multi. I think every knitter should learn how to crochet, and I think every crocheter should learn how to knit. And even at the very basic of both of those, and they're both so easy, and they both love each other so much. Both crafts love each other so much. You have no idea if you were ever intimidated by one or the other because you only do one or the other. I highly encourage you to dispel that lie and learn both. And when you do, you're going to find out that they're so easy and they're so much fun either way. And I'm going to straighten this out because I got a tail on this one. Oh, I think this is the one I went the wrong way on. I knew I should have started over, but I didn't. And now I'm going to regret it. Oh, I did. Okay, I did go from the center. Nice. I did start over. Nice. Yeah, so you added a pocket for the filter and it was too bulky. Oh, okay. I was considering doing, so I have several face masks that have been gifted to me that has a space for lining, that to add filter into it, but I never ended up using it anyway. So to me, it's just going to be bulky. So over the weekend, it's funny, you see me get quiet and then you're like, what is she going to say? And I don't want to say what I'm going to say because I don't want to open any cans of worms that I just don't want to deal with right now. But I wrote a post yesterday basically to promote this live on Instagram. Did you guys see my quote? I think I put in the show description. Is if you're too afraid to live your life, then you are not living your life. And the reason why I was sharing that post is I'm starting to realize that, not that I'm starting to, but I think I'm just ready to finally maybe approach it a little bit more adamantly, is for the crazy time that we are going through, I'm changing colors, so I just want to make sure I crisscross this correctly while I carry up the yarn. For the crazy time that we're going through, I think that this time is a breeding ground for an excessive amount of fear. And because the facts are coming in and the numbers have come down, but everybody is still so afraid. And that's the problem with, the fear of the unknown is you don't know. If you don't know what you don't know, right? And I started to, you know what? I didn't even realize I didn't even do this yet today. So let me do this. Thanks for joining me, guys, by the way. It's so much better when I talk to people than when I'm talking to myself. Let me just tell you. And when I'm creating, it's so much more fun to make with somebody. Whatever you guys are working on, share it with me. Let me know what you guys are making this morning. What did I want to do? Oh, I don't think I wanted to do that. You are too. Okay, there we go. That's the quote. So I just want to work on this theme for a little bit. Let me see. I have not had fear. Jesus is my brother. Amen. Look at Bonnie, see, preaching to the choir. I'm preaching to the choir. I'm absolutely there with you on that. He is my rock as well. So because fear doesn't come from Jesus, fear doesn't come from God. So if fear doesn't come from him, then we have to, I've learned over the years that wherever I'm afraid of, that's usually the barrier that I have to walk through. But you can call me a hypocrite because I'm terrified of snakes, and I'll be uh, I'll be darned. I have some Instagram friends that like once in a while show on their feed like their snake and their yarn, and a snake slithering on the yarn because they have pet snakes, and I'm just always like, whoa. I almost like if I didn't love her so much, I would have like unfollowed her because she keeps popping up these snake pictures on me. And then I always joke that Eve did a real number on me when it comes to snakes. But that's not what I'm talking about, although maybe to some people it might be what I'm talking about. But you know that when all this started, I have an autoimmune disease, and I inject a medicine in me to battle this autoimmune disease. And what that injection does is it shuts down my immune system. It seems so counterintuitive. We can go on and on about what the heck that all is about. And I definitely toiled and debated over that for almost a year before doing so. But here I am, and I'm better because of it. So science won that game. But basically, I have a compromised immune system, and because of that, so this whole thing was like, do I go to work or do I not go to work? And because I'm one of the vulnerables, I'm one of the, you know what I mean? But I had a bigger belief that I don't believe in a welfare state. And so I don't want to add to the welfare state. And since my work, we weave high-end textiles. And so I weighed a lot of options and did a lot of thinking and praying for the decisions that I had to make these past 6-7 weeks, and continuing to make them had been taking a toll on me. It's taken a real long toll on me. But I'm on the other side of it now, where I'm actually more rested in the decision that I've made than what I didn't do. And nothing that I'm saying is in judgment to anybody. This is just my story and my truth. You know what I mean? Like, what I've always said, that no matter what I talk about here in public, on YouTube, or in the public eye, meaning the internet, it is never in judgment of any other human. It is just, these are the things that I believe. So I have to live what I believe. And it's been hard. It has been hard these past times to live what I believe. When you have the people that, because of the aid, the federal aid that came to it, I'm like, when you have people who are home collecting unemployment, making more from collecting unemployment than the people who are actually working, that was like, whoa, wait a minute. I'm better off to stay home and collect unemployment and make more money, almost double, more than double. And I'm like, but I'm being punished because I chose to go to work and kept, you know what I mean? So I dealt with that. I've prayed over that. And I've on the other side of that, where I think I'm just pretty much happy. We're like, okay, if we're on the flip turn of it and things are starting to turn around, people are going to start coming back to work. I'm not even going to worry about trying to collect unemployment. So I was in it I'm in it for the long haul now. And we've had a case pop up at our workplace, which was another week of terror, which was another level. So once I get over that whole resentment and that whole jealousy feeling, and then the whole regret, did I make the right decision? What the heck am I doing? Is my life really worth all this? And all that stuff. And then we had a case pop up, but then they obviously did everything they can to, disinfect and clear and clean. And the person had been quarantined. The person the moment that we found out that somebody in their house was not, that got me all afraid again. And then I'm like, okay, great. Because I had so many levels. I think I was just like a yo-yo, like everybody else going through this. And then my cousin last week, my cousin, who my aunt is one of the weavers, so she hasn't been at work for the past couple of weeks. She has been working on and off, but she hasn't the past couple of weeks because my cousin got tested positive from it. And she's a nurse at a nursing home. And so, but they had kept her at an arm's distance because because they knew she was in a nursing home. So like, because of her job, they knew the risk was higher for her, and she ended up testing positive. She is feeling better, like she's not 100%, but she's definitely on the mend. She's under doctor care, and she's been like quarantining herself in the basement where the rest of the family have been upstairs. So all that to say that all that to say that it's not like I'm immune to it, but when I found out about Melissa, I was sad about Melissa as long as I got a grip as to how she was doing, and she wasn't she was bad, but not like deathly, and then it relieved my anxiety a little bit more. And so now the state of Pennsylvania is trying to open up slightly, but in bigger counties, so not the county that I'm in yet. And but we have some designers that are trying to come back to work, and some of them that aren't. And I was just discussing with my boss and some other people about this thing of fear, And I remember my boss saying, after 9/11, people were so afraid to get on planes and everything. But my boss was like, no, she just got on a plane so fast and went to Italy and went to Europe because she wasn't going to let fear stop her from, living her life. And that's when we started to talk about, this whole thing about fear. And I'm like, well, and now because, it's funny because I've always been a pro-germ person for as a shoddy immune system that I have. I've always been a pro-germ person where I firmly believe, and there's a lot of doctors that are coming out and saying, and it's the truth, like, our body is a miraculous machine that God created, and the systems and the autoimmune, like, and the immunity that we have to expose ourselves to germs so that our body can learn to fight them and then become stronger. Otherwise, your other case is to live in a bubble and be the bubble kid. You know what I mean? So that was what I first faced when this whole thing started happening. I'm like, oh God, what do I do? Do I come to work? I'm like, or do I stay home and hide in my house forever? And I was like, am I going to be the bubble kid forever? And I said, no, eventually I'm going to want to go back out and work. So I kind of have to just kind of plow through it and navigate through it and hope that whatever I expose myself to, my body will fight it and then get stronger because of it. It's what I pray, right? It's what I hope. So I don't even know what I'm babbling about, truthfully. I'm just going on and on. But I do. Have you guys ever watched Monk? Do you guys know about Tony Shalhoub, Monk? It was a very popular show back in the 2000s, I think. I don't think it was the 90s. I think it was 2000s. And he's a very smart detective, but he's a big germaphobe. And he would always do, I was like, I feel like we're all becoming a little bit of that, right? Where even I am looking around going, oh, where are the germs? And I don't want to breathe into somebody, and and we're all like developing that fear. When this whole thing first started, I was like washing my hands 24/7. I'm at work and I'm washing between any contact. Every time I left my desk area, I was washing my hands. And then I had a Lysol, and all those things are all those chemicals are too harsh on my skin. They are toxic to my skin. So I use wipes, but I use baby wipes that are alcohol free. I have, you know what I mean? Like, so I had all those things, and I'm just thinking, I'm like, my alcohol free baby wipes are doing anything to this nonsense, right? And then, but if I use Clorox, I'm so sensitive that if I use Clorox to clean like the bathroom, my nose will bleed instantly. Like I will spray a couple of Clorox, start scrubbing the tub, and before you know it, I will have a nosebleed session. That's how strong that chemical is for me. But yet, that's the only thing. Like everything needs to be bleached and Clorox and everything. I'm like, oh my god, what the heck? So the solutions are my problems, and so now what do I do? So I'm trying to navigate through all that nonsense. Love Monkl Germaphobe for sure. Don't you miss? Oh, I miss that show. I love him so much, and that was one of the shows that John and I really really enjoyed when it was on. And then for a while they ran it in syndication, so I was like watching it like I was having it on Sundays, just as a little like security blanket for me. But I'm telling you, during these past 7 weeks, I'm really appreciating what it is like to be him. Because I never was before. John has a little bit of a germaphobe, but I'm not. And but being this whole era, it's been it's been an awakening, to say the least. But at the same time, like I'm just gonna flip this over. But I am getting better now, because as the numbers, and now that we know a little bit more about it, and the people that are like, especially in our area, because we go for facts. I don't like fear, and I definitely, that's why I don't consume the media, like mainstream media, too much, because I know that news is a business. News is like a corporation, like a business, where they're in the business to keep you tuned in. So the only way to keep people tuned in and to engage is to sensationalize, the news. And to do so, the way they figured out is they don't have as much audience. This is time tested over and over again. The news formula is if they keep you heightened and afraid, you want to come back for more. If they put things that are happy-go-lucky and feel good, people tune off of it. So they know that they're not getting an audience if they just share the good stuff. So they share the bad stuff. That means more people tuned in. That means more people tune in. That means more people tune in. And they keep coming back for more. That's the formula. So that's what the news does. So the news will only share the bad. And then they will only share the bad, and they will keep sharing the bad. And so if you keep watching it, all you will see is the bad, and so that's why I don't. But they are, but the ones that are, I'm becoming less afraid now, because I know that my cousin had it. So now I feel like worst case scenario, because I remember when it first came out, it was like, if you get it, you're just going to die. And I'm like, what? You know what I mean? I was like, what the heck is this going on? Because I didn't know. I'm like, so then of course I'm like, if I get it, if I have a weak immune system, I'm definitely going to die. I'm going to die faster than my husband, who has a strong immune system, right? And so, but now that I've learned, I'm like, that is not the case. And there are, you know what I mean? And everybody has a scenario. It's funny when the irrational will come, and you just take a cliff dive from rational thinking, you know what I mean? When something like that happens, So to take a step back, and then the more stories of people that have had it, have recovered, have healed. It's just like the flu. And I'm like, I've had a flu. I think John and I already had it. I think John and I already had this in January, when we were so sick and he couldn't breathe, and he had it worse. But I had a really bad fever. I was out for 3 days, and I was like knocked out for 3 days, because I was so sick. But he was sick in a different way, because he had coughing, and he couldn't breathe, and he would tell me it was so painful to breathe. But I didn't have the same symptoms. I just had different versions, but I honestly think that we have already had it, but because we didn't know that it was that something so bad was happening. And then of course I had to deal with the fact that, death. Like, what is the worst case scenario? If death is your worst case scenario, what does that mean? And ideally, I don't want to die right now, but I also know that this is my temporary home. You know what I mean? I also know that death is inevitable, and I also know who I'm going to meet at the end of it. So I rest assured in that, you know. So death is not the worst case scenario. In my realm and in my life, death is not the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario is not being eternally spending my eternity with Jesus Christ. That is my worst case scenario. Turning on Jesus and not spending eternity with him. That is my worst case scenario. So as long as I don't have that, I'm not hitting worst case scenarios. I'm not, I don't think I would ever be unless that's my barometer. That is my barometer. You want to talk about barometer? That is my gauge in life. You know what I mean? So then once I get that in checked, that helps me with my fear a little bit. So I don't even know if any of this makes any sense, but if you four are still on here, that means let me know what you guys are thinking about this. Am I making any sense on any of this? And the reason why I say that is because like this, like all the other times, this time too shall pass. And what we gain out of our what we learn or how we overcome our certain situations is how we deal with what is given to us. So at this time, like being 6-7 weeks of quarantining that most of you are undergoing, what have you guys done at that time? Like what have you learned in that process? Like when we say maybe in 2 months, worst case scenario, 2 months from now, the numbers really do die down. And then, because mind you, I think the regular flu is still killing more people than this flu. I know in the first 3 months, facts were that the regular flu was double the number of deaths than this one. So I can't see the facts of April, May, June, if it flipped at all. I'm going to say the regular flu is still the number one killer than this flu, but not the number one altogether, because the number one is still abortion at 10 million in the first 3 months. I don't see anything beating murdering yet. Those numbers are still so those are the facts, right? So in the middle of all this, like, how are you going to move forward and I remember when I first did it, I was like, when I was going shopping, I would be like wearing gloves, and because I was so afraid, I was wearing gloves and I was spraying like alcohol in my skin and drying out my skin, which is the worst for me. And then now I just go to the store. I have to wear the mask, like I'm supposed to wear a mask, but I'm not wearing gloves anymore. And when I come home, I wash my hands, because that should be the general rule of the house. John always says, don't bring the outside germ in the house. So the first thing he always does whenever he would enter the house is he would wash his hands. So now I've picked up that habit, and I've learned to wash my hands the moment I walk in the house. But of all the things that I've picked up, I feel much better to have, because I do believe exposing myself to some germs is a good thing. That's otherwise, if we live in a bubble, if you keep yourself to, if you box yourself in and not expose yourself to any of that, the moment you step out, you're going to get bombarded with it. You know what I mean? And then I think that's why, remember when they said kids they want kids to play outside and play in the dirt. They want them to be exposed to that stuff because they're more resilient than the ones that the mama would do all the alcohol wipes and wouldn't let them play outside in the dirt. And before you know it, they have allergies. They have all kinds of, things that they have to deal with and go through because their body didn't learn to adjust to it. Their body didn't get used to it, so that's why I keep telling myself, well, I got to start exposing myself to germs again, because what I don't want to do is to be completely, to kill my immune system even further by not exposing to anything, so that when I get exposed to something, it's going to be a shocker for me, and I don't want that to happen either. So there. That's my 2 cents on this whole thing. Boy, this is going to be a funny playback when you guys come back to this one. But so to combat so the cool things I'm learning, so even though I'm not self-quarantining, what I am doing is I got done with a 21-day challenge for the Rise Up community with Pete Vargas, which is all entrepreneurs and small businesses, and showing up on for themselves on how to improve their health, their well-being, their business, and oh my God, small businesses. I've never been more. I have never been more in tuned to the economy and small business than I am right now. Never been that heightened aware. Being somebody that is trying to, run an online business, a solopreneur and an online business, I was never successful at it. So clearly the only success that I have is making friends online. And so, then actually monetizing my craft or my skill. The monetizing part, I'm still working through. I'm still learning that process. The whole marketing part, I'm still learning and going through that. And as I learn, I share. As I learn, I share. That's my motto. And so I was doing that and being exposed to that. So I was listening to a lot of those talks. I am right now reading Limitless by Jim Kwik, who, like I said, is trying to learn to read faster and to learn and comprehend better. Are you guys good readers? Because I never was. I always hated reading growing up. Like I had straight A's in school, but I was great at memorizing. I would do the all-nighters. I would study. I would get the A, and then I would move on. And same with reports. I would pull my all-nighters. No wonder why my immune system is shot as an adult. I would pull the all-nighters and I would pull out the A of the report, and then I would move on. And so my learning, like I never liked learning. Like I never had the capacity to learn. But it's funny, after school, in fact, I didn't even finish college because I was so wanted to start life than to actually continue to stay in school further. So it wasn't until I became an adult working for so long. Now I'm on the quest to learn. Like now I want to learn. Like I can't learn enough. I can't grow enough. Like, you know what I mean? I can't grow fast enough. I can't learn fast enough. I can't learn, you know what I mean, at the capacity that I want to. So this book is going to help me do that. And I can already tell that it is. But I'm doing that. And the other thing I'm doing, so I had the physical book, The Obstacles Away by Ryan Holiday, that I put aside. And then I have that. And then because I want to get through the Kindle's Limitless. And then on Audible this month is the Success Principle Workbook, the Success Principle Workbook by Jack Canfield. Who is it Jack or Joseph? Help me read more. Audiobooks help me read more, but I do like curling up with the book. I do like curling up with the book, but I'm trying to get over that multitasking thing. So I don't have a lot of time. So curling up with the book, meaning it is cutting away at me spending time with my husband. And then, so that's why I like audiobooks, because I feel like I get to listen to audiobooks while I'm at work. I get to listen to audiobooks while I'm driving. I get to listen, you know what I mean? And then, or while I'm doing the dishes, or while I'm cleaning the house, or while I'm doing other things, I'm listening to an audiobook. So I'm learning and growing. So that's why I've learned. And so audiobooks definitely helped me in that way. But to curl up to a book, meaning I have to stop everything else and set that time for me. And that's hard. That's hard for me to get through, which is probably why it's taking forever to read a little book called The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. Like a tiny little book, this thin. And I'm like, I see. But I was like, I think after I finish Limitless, I'm going to plow through that little thing like nothing. But I am so glad to be out of school so I could learn in my own terms. Yes. It's funny. There was a line in the book, Limitless, where, because Jim Kwik, the author of Limitless, he struggled with, he was known for the boy with the broken brain because he had so many head traumas when he was young. And So he had a lot of disabilities and growing up and everything. So, but he overcame all that, and now he can remember like the genius in this guy. He can go on stage and learn 50 names from the audience or 100 names from the audience, and then repeat those names frontwards and backwards to you while learning them on that stage. Like his brain is like so incredible what it's become. It's basically because he adopted the principles of limitless. I know, that's why I use audiobooks all the time. Yeah, same here. Oh, so speaking of how about learning? So I do want to, I'm looking at the time because we're at the end of the hour, and I do have to get off because I just realized I have a meeting with Sultana at 10 o'clock. So I just want to tell you real quick. So I learned from Darren Hardy. I get an email from him every day, and he was sharing a story because Mother's Day is tomorrow. And so for all the mothers, out there, you guys, happy Mother's Day. I hope you guys have a joyful, blissful day tomorrow, and really live it up. But he was sharing a story about Thomas Edison that I wanted to share with you. Thomas Edison, you know him, right? The genius inventor that came up with all those inventions, like 1,000, 2,000 inventions that he came up with. When he was a little boy, he got a letter from school that he had to bring to his mama, and his mama, he went and gave it to her, and she opened it up and read it to him. And basically the letter said, your boy is a genius and we don't have the capacity to teach him, so you're going to have to teach him yourself, to homeschool, and so that you can teach him the best way that you can. Our school facilities don't have what it's going to take to accommodate your son's genius level, right? So grew up, he became who he became. His mom taught him, and he became who he became, doing the things that he did, accomplished the things he did. As an adult, he went back and he found that letter. Okay, he found that letter and he opened it up and he read it, and the letter said, the same letter that his mom read, your son's genius, we can't teach him, you have to teach him. The same letter, he read it, and it said, your son is mentally retarded and he is expelled from school. You have to now take care of him because we can't keep him in school because he was so mentally retarded. And this is back in the day. So what a gift that his mother gave him. You know what I mean? Is the power and the belief of what your mama does for you is just amazing. And I was just like, he would have had a different life had he had a different mother. He would have had a different life had he not gone through that the way that happened. Had she not been the incredible woman that she was when she read that letter and told him the exact opposite, you know what I mean, and changed the course of his life. And so I was just like, that is such an amazing, amazing story. And it just goes to show you what power you have in the gift that you have when you can take your time to lift somebody, to encourage somebody, to motivate somebody, than to cut down at somebody, and worse yet, take a step back and really realize, pay attention to the things that you are saying to yourself. What are the things that you're saying to the mirror? You can take that time to lift yourself, grow yourself, love yourself, honor yourself, improve yourself, motivate yourself, or you can cut yourself and demean yourself and degrade yourself. Like you have all the power in the world. Whether you think you can, you think you can't, you're right. So why not take the time to think that you can and then find ways to make it happen, just like the way that mom did for Thomas Edison. So I hope you guys liked that story. I thought I wanted to share with you. I thought it was perfect timing for tomorrow, for Mother's Day, but enjoy your whole weekend, you guys. And I will see you guys on Monday at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with Navy's, Sarah, and me, because we have a brand new Monday morning motivations. It's the three of us, so we're so excited about that. We just had it last week and it was awesome, so I can't wait to have more. Spend my Monday mornings with those ladies and start my week right with those ladies. And so with anybody else that joins us, and then and if you have any, if you catch the replay, send in the comments and the questions. And then on the regular, I will be here next Saturday with you. So have a blessed and beautiful week, guys, and enjoy Mother's Day. God bless. Bye-bye.